come to order. Ms. Gore, if you will let the roll reflect that all board members are present and we have a quorum, we'll stand for the pledge. Jonathan Dunn, will you be so kind as to lead us in the pledge? And a moment of silence to follow. Absolutely.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Put your man standing for a moment of silence. You may proceed.
It's a little iffy asking a pastor to do the moment of silence. Sometimes that.
Hey, we're not quick.
Something, yeah, that was pretty good. He did a good job. All right, I guess Superintendent Mayo, you are up, sir.
Yes. So first of all, we want to recognize all of you as our school board members for Tennessee School Board Member Appreciation Week. That's a mouthful, but we do sincerely appreciate you and the way you support our schools, our students, and I appreciate the way you support me. I tell everybody we have the best school board, and you know, this may not be news to your ears, but you know, I may work till I'm 70 because we have such a great school board. But that may not be a good thing for you. But anyway, our principals have given you, schools have given you some tokens of appreciation to express not their full appreciation, but just, as I said, a token of appreciation. And Mr. Abraham is he's the rookie. So he got drafted to be the principal representative tonight. So, Mr. Abraham, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you everybody so much. I just wanted to come here and stand before y'all and just say from all of the principals how much we, like Mr. Mayo said, appreciate your support. It's interesting being the rookie and coming from somewhere else and get to meet a new school board and seeing the members. But I can tell y'all this, that the school district, for me, Arlington Community Schools has been a blessing. The students are a blessing. Your leadership is a blessing. The principals have been so gracious to helping me become acclimated to my role, and it's just been an amazing time for me. Also, in those bags, there's a lot of love and care that came to y'all there. You know, this was some goodies. So hopefully y'all enjoy them and that they do symbolize what we want to tell y'all, that we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And in addition to that, you know how we do in the district, we like to make you Facebook famous. So I think we started with Dr. Viox, and then today was Mr. Benjamin's day, and
I'm gonna check that out.
Surprise, it'll be somebody's day tomorrow to be featured until we have featured all of you on Facebook, because we certainly want to give you the public recognition that you deserve. So thank you again.
Well, on behalf of the board, I can say that the people in this room make this job so simple. So we thank you as well. Any comments for everybody? Good. You have all the time you need, sir.
I was reminded to tell y'all, please make sure that if you hadn't gotten a cupcake, please get a cupcake.
Mr. Benjamin's holding them hostage.
To the person in the first chair, they're on my end now. So they're out of luck.
I got mine while he was talking to somebody, so I'm covered. Okay. Anything else from the board on that? Cool. We'll move on to citizen comments. I have one, and I'm going to do my best to say this. Agronoski? Yes, sir. Did I say it right? Mike Agronoski, yes, sir. Okay, beautiful, sir. Come on up. If you would, into the microphone, please say your name and address.
My name is Mike.
Oh, yeah, I had a little bit of instruction. Hang on. Just because it's our business meeting, we ask that you keep it as brief as possible. We like to stay around 2 minutes. It won't be a question and answer. We're going to listen to everything you say. Some people will probably take notes, and we'll kind of take it from there. So.
Yep, I understand.
Yes, sir. Perfect. All right, sir. The floor is yours.
Yes, my name is Mike Bernosky. I live at 5515 Chapel Meadow Cove in Arlington, Tennessee. I've been a resident of Arlington for 12 years now, and I have 3 children in the Arlington school system. It's a wonderful place to live, and I'm proud to be a citizen of the town of Arlington. Today, I'd like to address the issue of school start times. I understand this is an issue that the school board has visited once before, but I would like to speak on it once more today. So thank you all for your time today. Early school start times contribute to poor grades, depression, obesity, increased automotive accidents, and a litany of other things that I'm sure you've already heard about. There's a number of organizations that have organized to increase public awareness of this, such as StartSchoolLater.net. They have a lot of information about the teen sleep epidemic, and that would help support a decision in making a change to school times. What I'm seeing is more and more schools are embracing this research. The most recent one, which is Lakeland High School, which boasts a start time of 8:15. That's incredible. Additionally, State Senator Brenda Gilmore is actively campaigning for a bill that would statewide mandate that high schools start at 8:30 a.m. and middle schools no later than 8 a.m. If this were to be passed as early as the 2023-2024 school year, this would be effective for the state. Of course, this is just still a bill at the moment. I understand the school board conducted a study back in 2017-2018 school year, in which we reviewed all the medical research and start time, did a cost-benefit analysis. And it seems like transportation was the principal reason, and with a per annum uptick of $300,000 per annum, I can understand how that would cause pause. This doesn't mean it's the only solution to the problem, however. I think we could be getting hung up on this is the only solution, and that there's a cost here that isn't easy to digest. But I think the writing's on the wall that this change is coming. It could come in the form of a state mandate at some point. And I believe the pragmatic way forward is to start gradually by delaying school start times. I'm an architect and an engineer, and I know big bang, big change never goes over well. So what I would like to propose is that we start working closer towards the goal of 8:30, not a mandate of 8:30. Even 15 minutes would make a difference in these kids' lives. The Arlington High School is one of the earliest school start times, best I can tell, in the entire state as well. Shelby County High School starts at 7:15 as well. So if only to align and not be the worst in the state and give it another 15 minutes, it seems like something that's real easy, that it's within our grasp, but that we could do that. 15 minutes to a bus schedule, I don't know that we'd have to run an old fleet of another buses just to accommodate that. Right. So what I'm asking is, can we please take a closer look at the data? Can we please take an iterative approach towards getting closer to 8:30 and giving these children some relief? And do that by forming a committee to look at this issue again. And that's my request to the board today. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate your time.
All right.
We appreciate
Thank you all for your time.
Yes, sir. All right, board, we're going to move on to approval of the agenda. We'll entertain a motion.
Excuse me.
All right, Mr. Benjamin, Ms. Williams, if that's okay for a second. Absolutely. Is there discussion on the agenda? All right, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Chairman's report, I have just a couple of really quick things. Wanted to let you guys know that I just got back yesterday from Savannah, Georgia, at the COSBA Leadership Convention. And as you guys all know, this was the efforts. We've been working at this on the state level for roughly 2.5 to 3 years now. This was kind of the culmination of that. We've got 24 states that joined us there. It was really neat to see all that stuff come together. It's a healthy, vibrant organization. Everybody's super excited about it, and I think it's going to do really good things for us. Part of that was some curriculum that they've given us, and I'm going to get it to all the board members. What they did was they came up with a book that's almost 80 pages long about governance, which is fantastically done. It has some very, very in-depth PowerPoints that go with it. It's going to be made available at no charge to all of the member districts, and all of the executive directors that are in the organization have access to this, and they'll disseminate it to their states. So I got an advance copy, and we'll get it to you guys as soon as we can. But I really want to look at two different things for us, for this group. Tampa's coming up quick. That's going to be the national convention. That's March, I think, the 28th, 29th, 30th, maybe the 30th, 31st, and 1st. It may be a little late for you guys to be able to arrange your schedules for that, but I really think the most important thing is going to be our DC legislative agenda trip, and that's going to come in September. So I know it's a super busy time of the year. Also, it's fall district meetings, which, I think Mr. Dunn will testify how valuable that was for him and for us, because that drives our legislative agenda for the state. But I'll get those dates out to you in an email, but I really would love to have some company, if not in Tampa, certainly in DC. It's going to be neat, and those trips are always well worthwhile, because they carve out time for their schedules, and you get a roundtable discussion with them, and it's kind of a big deal. So quickly, I'll wrap up with a statement of disclosure due by the 31st. Hopefully everybody's done that online already. If not, you got a little envelope, you can get that mailed back, but let's make sure we get, because time is near, so make sure those get done. It took me, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes online, not long at all. So, the good news is, once it's in there for you, Mr. Dunn, is it'll store all your information, unless it changes, you can just hit submit next year. So, okay, thank y'all. Moving on to you, Mr. Mayo.
Okay. First of all, I want to say that we're off to a sprint running start for second semester. I heard someone making the comment earlier that a lot's happened since we were all sitting here in December. We've had holidays, and now we're in the throes of budget development and just running schools, and things have gone very smoothly second semester. I'm going to knock on whatever this is made out of. But things have gone really well, and I do want to thank our employees, our administrators, central office staff for continuing to keep things rolling. They do an excellent job with that. I only hear things unless there's a crisis, which that's my expectation, to make sure that we can thwart the crisis and keep you guys informed when possible about what's going on. And so our leaders do an excellent job with that. Speaking of employees, I want to publicly thank our employees once again for voting our school district as the top workplace. We did not know that the last time we were here meeting. We met on Tuesday, and then we found that out on the following Thursday. So again, I want to thank our employees for voting us that for the second consecutive year in a row. And to me, that's the highest honor that we can receive as a district, when our employees say this is a great place to work and the number one place to work. So I'm very appreciative of our employees for their opinion about our workplace. Ms. Roberts and I had the opportunity to attend this morning. We started our day with a pretty good view at Shelby Farms. We got to look at the lake out there, and we were thinking, wow, that wasn't a bad way to start if you had to be there so early. But anyway, we started our day meeting with the Shelby County government. There was a municipal funding strategy meeting, I think is what they called it. And so they invited all the municipal superintendents and CFOs, and so we were pretty much all there. Basically, this is in reference to the elephant in the room about the new high school that's being funded by the Shelby County government as a result of the negotiations between of the three Germantown schools, the 3Gs that still lie in the boundaries of Germantown, but were still operated by Shelby County schools. And so the compromise was that the county commission would fund the building of a new high school for Memphis Shelby County schools. So typically when that happens, the municipal districts get a share of that, and usually that's done with bond money, and so we will always get a share of that when it's done with bond money. But the question right now is, how is this school going to be funded? It may not be funded through bonds, and if it's not, do we get anything or not from that? So that's been the big question. We still don't know anything. They acted as though they would make a decision, within the next, couple of months as they work through their budget. But I'm not sure, we're not sure how we feel about that meeting yet today. But anyway, it was, at least we were reached out to and we were called to participate in that and make those contacts. And I've already followed up with Mr. Collins, who's the Chief Administrative Officer, with the mayor, with a digital copy of our CIP plan to let him know what we had to tell a little bit about it today, but it was kind of off the cuff. So I sent him a digital copy so he would have specifically what our needs are. I invited him to come out and tour our facilities and, look at our programs, the things that we're very proud of with CTE. And so he wrote me back and thanked me for the invitation, said he would love to come out. So we'll see where that goes. 2023-24 budget, as you know, is underway. You all approved the budget calendar at our December board meeting, and we're on track so far with those activities to building our budget. Dr. Clark and I actually met today to talk about projections. We've pretty well nailed that down on enrollment and staffing and what our needs are going to be. So we'll be sending that then over to Ms. Roberts to populate in her magic spreadsheet. And Ms. Roberts and I have met several times so far, and we'll meet a bunch more between now and the budget coming together, talking about some different scenarios that we can run to see, what we're able to do for employees. That's always a concern and, a priority for us. And I know it is or for you as a board as well. So we'll be, sharing more of that when you have your one-on-one meeting. And prior to that, if we have information that we feel is solid and, I guess, fundable, if that's a word. As we work through that, I also would like for you to, if you have CIP requests or any other budget item requests, that you could get that to me as soon as possible so that we can start looking at what that cost might be as we weave it in to possibly CIP planning. And then obviously your peers would be the ones that would determine if that moves forward in the CIP plan. We put it in there. You all decide if it's a priority or if it needs to move through or when it needs to happen in that process. So we can't do that at the one-on-one budget meetings because at that point we're pretty well done with the budget except for some tweaking. But if there's some big projects that we need to know about, because again, I plan to do CIP budget planning also when we go over the general budget at the same time. We did that last year, and I felt like that worked really well because we were able to do those two major budget functions together. And so I plan to do that again this year. So if you have those, please send those to me so we can get a ballpark cost of what that might look like. I want to say congratulations also to our Teachers of the Year. You've probably seen that advertised on social media. We have Miss Gallimore at Arlington Elementary, Miss Wortham at Donaldson Elementary, Miss Price at Arlington Middle, and Miss Sandlin Rogers at Arlington High School. Our Principal of the Year is Miss Manley. She's here with us tonight. And also our Supervisor of the Year, Mr. Goforth. I know that all of these individuals, people that I just read the names of, will be great representatives for our district as we look forward to hopefully some of them advancing in state level competition. I also want to send well wishes to our AMS basketball teams tonight. They are actually playing right now. Both teams are playing for the Municipal District Championship, which is unbelievable that both teams are there playing for, the boys are playing for the championship and the girls are playing for the championship. So hoping to hear great things about the turnout of that game. And hopefully, I don't know if any of you, I know Miss Banks is dashed out of here so she could get over there and cheer them on. So great job to Coach Duncan and Coach Jeter and their coaching staffs for taking the kids that far this year. So that's all I have.
Perfect.
Anybody have a report as I go through? I know, Dr. Clark, you had one. Does anybody else have a report tonight? Okay. Mr. Goforth, you go first, and then Mr. Hill, and is there anybody else? You have any? Okay, and then Clark.
Good evening. Just about 4 short things for you, just to update you on. As you know, right now, we're working our way through the 3rd grade retention law. That's on all of our minds. So our elementary schools are doing an outstanding job as the state is building that plane pretty much as we go. And so lots of changes and different things happening. But our biggest goal in all of this is communication. So we're continually communicating with our families to make sure they're staying in the loop with these updates. The other thing I just want to make you aware of, February the 2nd, we have it every year, is our Family Life Curriculum Preview Day. That's here at the district office for all of K-12 parents and community stakeholders. We're currently involved in math textbook adoption. We had our parent community stakeholder day yesterday with feedback from community members. So hopefully by the February board meeting, we will have you a recommendation for a new math textbook. And last thing, just so you know, in connection to the 3rd grade retention law, we began our summer camp planning, as we don't know how many students will need that this summer, as that's one of the avenues for those kids that do get retained. So that's currently in the works as well. So just 4 quick updates.
Question to you, Mr. Goforth.
Yes.
When you've spoken to parents, what's those conversations been like?
Mainly the conversations so far have been, we have our parents that are calling that say my student is making A's and B's in the classroom, but on these benchmark tests and saying in 2nd grade, they've been below or they've been approaching on their standardized test. And they're asking, is my student going to be retained because they had A's and B's in the classroom? And my response is, yes, according to guidance, but we are learning that there are avenues that the state has generated to support these students, and there seems to be a leaning toward more avenues to support these students. For example, if they're approaching on TCAP, they can go to summer camp, and supposedly if they show progress, then that child will be promoted. If they're below, they can go to summer camp and be tutored the entire next school year in 4th grade. That suffices. But the state has also set up an appeals process as well, so parents can appeal. The state has also set up TCAP retakes, which has never happened before in my career. So again, there's many avenues, but like you said, we know that we've always done a great job of supporting our students. We'll continue to do that. We are communicating and we're working with parents to make sure they understand all these options. And we feel at this point that's our one strength, is to not only support kids through the process, but support the parents. And we were just talking today about the appeals process, making sure that parents do understand that there is an appeals process, and we will guide you through that. So like I said, these schools have done an outstanding job in communicating. We continually do that. Our parent-teacher conferences are coming up in February. I'm going to an elementary school. Ms. Cottner's going to another one. We're going to be at the front door if you have any questions in reference to 3rd grade retention, because we want to make sure everyone understands that it is what it is, but there's also lots of avenues to support you through this process, and we will help you, get in the right lane to hopefully find you success and get you, where your kid wants to be for the next school year.
And so in the, question, you may not know the answer completely about it. In the appeals process, so I can only imagine that if my child, thankfully I don't have a 3rd grader, thank the Lord, but was retained in all across the state of Tennessee, and so the part of the solution is that we send them to some government agency to process them in a timely manner to get them where they can get back into school. Is that what you're saying there? That's what they put out there.
That's what they put out
Okay.
there, that they, it's
Just understand.
currently, that they will be handing all appeals. And there's two layers to the appeals process. A parent has two options. One is that there's a catastrophic event in the child or family's life. They have a few items there. And the other is something that they have added that's new, where they are saying that if a student is at the 40th percentile on the spring universal screener, they will consider promotion. Well, I think a very good question back to them is, well, if that is the case, why is that not shared at the beginning of the process instead of putting students and families through all of these hoops?
Yeah.
So that's a change we've noticed, and we do look for more change to come. But like you said, we pretty much now in our heads understand it all, but our main thing is to, when students and families fall into these avenues, our goal is to support them as best possible.
Sure.
And, you know, so that's our
Yeah.
goal, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the parents in the third grade retention are lucky to have you. We're lucky to have you. I appreciate all that hard work because I'm sure it changes every 5 minutes.
It does, you're correct.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Well, thanks for all
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
That's
Thank you.
One thing I'll add to that, Mr. Goforth was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, the MASS meeting. I don't remember, that stands for something school districts. I don't even know what it stands for, but anyway, large school districts go, and then, you know, we're kind of considered a large school district, believe it or not, based on numbers across the state, other than the mega districts. But anyway, he was at a meeting, and Ben Torres actually spoke at that meeting, and Ben had no idea that this third option had been added. So that's how recent and how they're swerving this stuff in here, because you know, my prediction is at the end of the day, they're going to want all of this off of them, and it's going to be tossed back to us, which is what we hope.
Right.
So anyway, that just shows you how fast it's moving and how they're adding things that even the attorneys following this aren't always getting it or catching it.
Well, to your point, if they added if you're at the 40%, if they put that on the front end, they may eliminate, I don't know, 20-30% of the appeals, maybe more.
Probably more, absolutely. That was our whole, you know, thing is we just, if that's what you're saying, then why is that not
Say it first.
shared at the beginning? Because it'll save a whole lot of hoops for some families.
Well, God bless you. Good
All right,
job.
thank you.
Dr. Clark?
Good evening. Again, I would like to thank you for your support, especially tonight, coming earlier and be part of the celebration for our tenured employees. You have a ACS logo swag cup there, and inside there is a ACS swag lip balm that's very good, that we all enjoy. Good for the winter months. 2 upcoming events. We always have our annual ACS Teacher Job Fair, and that is Thursday, February the 16th from 4:30 to 7:30. Dinner is served at 4:30. We have 2 sessions. We have the first session at 5:15, the second session at 6:15. We have currently registered 30 applicants so far. We just put that out, and we'll continue to share that through. I share that through universities, our student teachers, contacts that I've received at current job fairs, and we've posted on all of our social media sites. It's a large event. Most of you, if you're able to attend, you've attended in the past, and it's really nice to have our school board members there, because I think that's what's unique about our school district, and you all always engage in conversations with them, and you make them feel comfortable because they're getting ready to have a quick interview with an administrator, which that can be a little nervous time for them. And I appreciate you doing that. So if you can join us, that would be great. Also, HR is hosting a Valentine luncheon for central office employees and principals on Monday, February the 13th at 11:30. And you're welcome to join us. I will send you an email of these 2 events to help you put that on your calendar and remind if you're able to attend. Our 23-24 employee intent survey that closes this Friday. Currently, we have 4 employees that have informed us that they are going to retire. So we'll be recognizing them at the April school board meeting for their retirement and appreciation of their years of service. And as Mr. Mayo mentioned, I'm working on the allocations and the projections for the 23-24 school year. And I'll begin attending university recruitment job fairs in the local area and neighboring states as well. Our sub rate right now for January is 94%, so we're doing very well with our substitute and our fill rate, and we have 96 active substitutes. That's the highest we've had in the past 3 years, so everything is going well with that. Thank you.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
On the February 13th Valentine luncheon, do I need to fill out Valentines to hand out?
No.
Okay, just
We're,
checking.
we're beyond elementary.
Okay, got it.
You don't have to bring your little
You have to bring a
Valentine
box.
I wanted to see his box.
You know, that we could make that a competition, Dr. Clark. You know, we like a good competition
Everybody loves a
around
good
here.
competition.
That,
I'll start thinking on that.
Ms. Douglas, did you have a report?
No, sir.
Okay, that concludes my report.
All right, perfect. Ms. Roberts, if you're so inclined.
Good evening. For the November 2022 financial report, general fund revenues, $16,222,946. Expenditures, $536,199. Nutrition fund revenues, $771,854. Expenditures, $583,534. Federal and discretionary grants, revenues, $1,706,168. Expenditures, $1,693,554. CIP, revenue, $1,081, no expenditures. For the Interlocal Health Benefits Plan Trust Report, as of November 2022, year-to-date revenues, $18.1 million. Year-to-date expenses, $16.6 million. Beginning net balance, $16.7 million, and an ending net position of $18.2 million. The next report that we'll have will be our audit report that will be by our auditors, Mr. Clark Province.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
I'm Clark Province. I'm the partner at Watkins Uberall in charge of signing the report. I recognize everyone but Mr. Dunn, who I'm guessing is recently elected. We audited the June 30th, 2022 financial statements of Arlington Community School System. We have issued an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion on the financial statements. I will point out that in the financial statements on page 2, the audit report did change to where the opinion is now the very first thing that you see, so it's made people happy. It also discusses responsibilities of management for the financial statements and clarifies the responsibilities of the auditors for the financial statements. It's actually a cleaner opinion. It's a little bit easier to read and understand in layman terms, honestly. Your major funds that we audited, of course, were your general purpose school fund, as well as the fiduciary fund for your OPEB. And then we also, well, I didn't have it listed. The federal projects fund, I believe, was the last one, which I can tell you for sure in 2 seconds. Sorry, I didn't spell it out where I wanted to. Yeah, the Federal Projects Fund. So the reason the Federal Projects Fund this year was a major fund is because of all the additional funding that you received, primarily related to the Education Stabilization Relief Fund, or your ESSER money. We also did perform a single audit, of course, this year as well. This year we had multiple major programs that we had to audit. So a major program means that we have to look at it completely, entirely on its own. And we look at the program for compliance with the program, as well as your internal controls that you have in place over that compliance. So we did your special education cluster, which is the IDEA money that you received. Some of that was new COVID-related money. You just got a lot extra this year. And then your Education Stabilization Fund, your ESSER money, that would have had ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3 in there, although you'll probably have some more ESSER 3 money this year as well that we'll look at because we're, on a lag. We did issue an unmodified report on each major program. We found no compliance issues or issues with controls over compliance. And the last report that we issue is a government auditing standards report, which we also issued a clean opinion on it and found no issues in your internal controls. The big things that I just want to point out to you, especially you, Mr. Dunn, if you've never read an audit report before, the fun stuff's in the management discussion and analysis. It is written in layman's terms, so this is a little bit more easy to read for non-accountants. That's written by Miracle, and we review it, make sure it's all right, and make sure everything calculates correctly. The only other things that I want to point out to y'all are, I've told Miracle this before, y'all are very liquid. You're in a very good position. I've asked her, I don't understand how you have this much liquidity. It's quite shocking to me every time I look at it. But what I will point out is y'all have a huge net pension asset this year of $25 million. Your pension is measured in arrears. So basically this represents what it would have been really at June 30th, 2021. So you should expect that's going to decrease quite a lot June 30, 2022 because the market tanked in those 12 months. So these numbers are going to turn around a little bit related to that net pension asset. And I just wanted to point that out. I think you'll still be in an asset position, just not a $25 million asset position. Okay. What that will do is it will decrease some of the unrestricted net assets that you have at June 30th, 2023, but you're still going to be fine. You're still going to have plenty. Overall, your numbers were essentially the same as they were the year before, with the exception of all of this new COVID-related money, which obviously we shouldn't expect to see, we hope, again. So your federal projects fund won't be audited as a major fund next year, I anticipate. And then that's basically it. If y'all have any questions that you want to ask at all about the audit process, what we look at, or any of your numbers or anything that I kind of can see comparatively to other school systems, I'll be happy to answer what I can now or get back to you later if I need to. Other than that, thank y'all for having us out here again.
Thank you for coming, sir. We appreciate your time.
Sir.
Thank you. All right, moving on to Ms. Williams.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Williams. Well, first of all, I just have to thank a very special person, Ms. Glenda Haskins, who is the legal assistant to Ms. Speakman, who has helped me a great deal with emailing our legislative agenda to all the municipal senators and representatives in the General Assembly. We've also emailed our agenda to all the education committees, Senate and House. So they have all received our legislative agenda. This includes subcommittees. Our very own representative, Tom Leatherwood, he serves on the Education Instruction Committee. So make sure when it's time, you have this, we got to make sure we email him and make sure we're getting things done. And let's go ahead and just tell him about third grade is still messed up. You know what I mean? I mean, it is messed up. So we want to make sure, because what I'm hearing is that they're really looking at it. Now, whether they're really going to do anything and help Mr. Goforth out, for sure, and all of our students and all of our parents, I don't know. But they're supposedly really looking at it. Let's hope something different happens. As we have emailed all of these representatives, we have received a response from Representative Deborah Moody, who is the chairman of the Education Instruction Committee. And she said that she would review our agenda, that she has already sent it to legal. Whoa. And I am sending a copy of our board minutes approving our agenda as requested by the chairman. So that will be sent to her. I have also received responses from Representative Leatherwood and requested a meeting with him, and he's going to get back with me. Also received responses from Senator Mark Pody, who serves on the Senate Education Committee, and Representative Kevin Raper, who's Vice Chairman of the Education Instruction Committee. The General Assembly is just finishing up, or is currently on an organizational recess. I love that. With the Senate resuming regular session today, January the 24th, and the House resuming regular session on January the 30th. And what is organizational recess? Can't wait to tell you. They're taking time to move offices and prepare for when the session is back in full swing, and we can only imagine how that's going to hit us boom, boom, boom. There is a committee since the Senate resumed today. There is a meeting on January 25th, the Education Committee, at 2 p.m. tomorrow, and I will be looking at that. Let's see, make sure that I've told you everything I wanted to. I have also participated in TSBA Legislative Representative Virtual Meeting on December the 21st, 2022. I've also participated in a webinar on January the 20th on how the General Assembly works. I'm not sure anyone really knows how that happens, but I did attend that webinar. I will participate in a legislative virtual meeting at 11 a.m. on Friday, January the 27th. I'm going to send to you some general tips that I did copy off of the General Assembly website about how to communicate with our legislators, and just give you some good tips on writing effectively emails so that they will listen. We really have to stick with one subject. It says when you email them, don't give them too much at one time, just give them one. So we'll do that. We'll make sure they get that. And also, of course, you have to back up with supporting facts your opinion. So just wanted to I will be sending that to you. I was telling Scott before, I've heard some messages about some things that might be interesting to you. I'll try to do it very quickly. Certainly they're revisiting the controversial, I call it controversial, third grade reading law. So that's supposed to be the top of the education priorities, and I hope so. Also, this Representative Scott Sapecki, who was on one of the education committees, is looking at raising the minimum age to begin kindergarten to be at least 5 years old on or before August 15. His proposal is based on a recent analysis by the State Controller's Office, which found that students who were older at kindergarten enrollment performed better on third grade literacy tests than their peers. So he's looking at that, which could prove interesting. Also, Representative Sapecki and Senator Joey Hensley have filed a bill to provide teachers with $500 annually to pay for classroom supplies instead of the $200 amount. Now, that's a good thing. That would be a good thing for our teachers, certainly. And I was just sharing with Mr. Mayo that it looks like they're looking at class size limits for K through 12 schools in Tennessee, and it would no longer be state regulated under this new legislation filed by Senator John Lundberg, who is the chairman of the Senate Education Committee. He's from Bristol. Instead, decisions about student-teacher ratios and class size maximums and class size averages would be left to each school district. That could be interesting if that passes. The bill also removes a prohibition against split grade classes. It's too late for us, Ms. Conley. We already did those. Senator Lundberg said he proposed the bill after discussing with teachers and educator leaders in rural districts. So they're wondering if this is an attempt to address teacher shortages. So we'll see. So that's just some scuttlebutt that's going on right now. But since we're finally, it looks like the they're finished their organization and they're going to be back in full swing. So we'll see what happens next. Thank you, Dr. Biox.
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully they'll be more organized. All right, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. There was just a couple of items on it.
Miss-
All right, Ms. Conlon? Second. Second from Mr. Benjamin. Awesome. Is there discussion on any of the consent agenda items? Okay, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you much. All right, Mr. Mayo.
All right. The first item up for consideration is the approval of the 2024-2025 instructional calendar. So I'm going to make the recommendation that you approve that so that then before you vote, I can present to you how we landed on the calendar that I'm going to be recommending. So that's my recommendation.
Superintendent's recommendation is a vote for approval. Is there a motion? Motion to approve.
Second.
And second from Ms. Conlon. Perfect. Sir?
Russell's going to cue me up. Yeah, I might be looking at this one with you. Okay, so as you know, we keep a calendar, instructional calendar approved 2 years out. That became sort of a tradition in our district that we've continued. I think our families appreciate that, so they can plan, their vacations, their beach trips, all that good stuff in advance, unless they have a third grader that may interfere with some of that. So, we've already started hearing that too as part of the retention conversation, because that, it interferes. So anyway, what we use for our calendar committee is currently the superintendent's leadership roundtable. That's a composition, as I've shared with you before, composition of teacher representatives and classified staff members from each school. And so what we do is we try to bring them some proposed calendars. Again, we're limited with a 175-day calendar and what we can do, and when we start, when we get out, when we still do the full fall break, we give the 2 weeks off at Christmas, we do the spring break, we give the week at Thanksgiving. So when you factor all of that in, there's limited options on what you can offer. We did bring the calendar committee 4 calendars to begin with. They quickly narrowed it to 2. And but in that process of discussing those 2, they made some suggestions on the calendar. So we were able to go back and take those suggestions and incorporate that into one of our calendar options and make that work. It changed some things, but it's workable. So I'm going to present those to you tonight. You may have noticed in the agenda, I included both calendars that we were looking at or that we surveyed from. And I had a note on there, the one that I would be recommending, and I'm going to walk through that process of why I'm recommending that calendar tonight. So we opened a survey on January the 9th, and we closed it on January 13th. All parents and employees received the survey via text or email. Keep in mind, this was after my committee had gone back and shared and gotten feedback within the schools with the respective groups. Classified employees, classified members went back and shared with those groups. Certified employees went back and shared with those groups. Got feedback, sent it back to Tyler and me, and this is actually one of the things that falls with Tyler pretty much under planning now, and part of his role is planning, but he and I work very closely together on this. We try to catch each other's errors, and we still don't catch them all. We had a teacher to catch an error on one of them that went out. You look at it, so many times, you think you know it, and there's something a little crazy, something that's on there. But anyway, all of that to give context of the survey. Of the survey respondents, we had 65% of ACS employees responded to the survey. That was 348 employees. Of that, you can see there were 233 teachers, 94 support staff members, and 21 administrators. Parents, we had about 20% of our families to respond, which include about 952 parents. So my recommendation, this is important because my recommendation is somewhat based around that participation rate among the different groups that were surveyed. So, keep that in mind as we go through this. So here's an overall breakdown. Overall, you can see the calendar is split 53% to 47%, with the 53% being calendar A. So overall, of everyone surveyed, teachers, employees, administrators, parents, 53% said we like calendar A, 47% said we like calendar B. My first reaction to that is that must mean we have two really good calendars to choose from, because people are saying either one works, so no big deal. So looking further into that, calendar breakdown, here's the employee breakdown. And keep in mind that we had 65% of our employees that responded versus 20% of our parents that responded. So calendar A for the employee breakdown, 71.6% of our employees voted for calendar A, and 28.4% of our employees voted, of that 65% that responded, voted for calendar B. Further, you can look down to see the breakdown. That's all overall employees. If you break it down a little bit more, you can see teachers only were 75% for calendar A versus 25% for calendar B. Support staff, 66% versus 34%. Administrators, 67% versus 33%. So pretty tight there on employee reaction to which calendar they like. Overwhelmingly, calendar A. Calendar A is, by the way, the calendar that we went back and made some adjustments to based on employee feedback. And I'll tell you about that in just a minute. So the parent-only breakdown, you can see parents opted a little bit more, about 8% margin for calendar B at 53.8% versus 46.2%. So just looking at parents, they liked calendar B a little bit better than calendar A. But again, back to the premise that this is pretty tight to say that parents were okay with either calendar. And due to that response, my recommendation, considering the response rate of our employees and the breakdown of those responses versus the response rate of parents, and the fact that they were 50-50 on it pretty much, my recommendation would be for calendar A to recommend for your approval. Calendar A, how it differs from calendar B with the tweaks that we made was calendar A, we will be starting school, if that's the calendar that's approved, on a Thursday rather than a Monday. Teachers, that wasn't something that they added, that's something we did on the front end, just due to the configuration. However, the teachers really liked that because they said our first couple of days of school anyway is about procedures and rules and getting all that down pat, so we could have 2 days to glide back in, get all of that done, and then Monday we would start normal, we'd be normal. Instead of that happening on Monday, taking 2 or 3 days, and then maybe by Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to have normal school. So that was the advantage seen by employees, the feedback on that calendar. That calendar A also incorporates a suggestion from the leadership group that was brought back from teachers, that we have a day for teachers to return after the holiday before the students return. So teachers would return on one day after New Year's, and then the students would come back the following day. And it gives teachers an opportunity to plan, prepare, get ready, without having to do that over their break time to be ready for kids to come back. So that was the attractiveness of this calendar, I think, to employees and teachers overall. B is our traditional calendar, starts on a Monday. Actually, that calendar ends a day earlier, I believe, than the calendar A, because we had to find that extra day in the calendar somewhere where we're going to, if we approve calendar A, where it incorporates that extra PD day or work day for our teachers. So again, overall, teachers, employees overwhelmingly stamped the calendar A. Parents were kind of 50-50, but overall, combining the two groups, calendar A was still the overall preference of the calendar. So with that, it's my recommendation that you all approve calendar A, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If I can't, I'm sure Tyler can, about the calendar development.
I had a question. Thinking back about
those calendars, I can't remember if it was A or B, to be honest with you, but one of them started soon after the first of the year, and one of them started, it seemed like, a little bit later, like the 6th or something like that. I can't remember what those days were.
I
off the
think
top of my
they,
head. Or they
yeah,
both
they
start on
both
the
start
same
on the
day?
6th, but the difference is, that's a Monday, January 6th. And so this year was a little wonky because we had New Year's Day on Sunday, and then our employees came back on Monday, and our kids came back on Monday.
Yeah.
And that's unusual, but everybody still got their 10 days off, they're full-time and all of that. And I know there's a little bit of scuttle about, oh, it's a federal, holiday and all that. We don't govern by that. We govern by employee, required state mandated contract teacher days is what we're governed by. And so there was a little bit of that. But if you look at this year, remember this is not next year, this would be the next
Yeah.
year out. It actually starts, we would come back on January the 6th, which is well after New Year's, and everybody parties all night. They've got time to recover and get back on January the 6th. Calendar A.
We'll say as you get older, it takes
Yeah,
the full gambit of
I
those
get
days
it.
to recover,
So,
for the record.
so on A, to answer your question, the teachers would come back on a Monday, January the 6th, and then students would come back on Tuesday, January the 7th. On calendar B, everybody would come back Monday, January the 6th.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Is there any other discussion? Because I want to clean this up a little bit by taking a new motion for specifically approving calendar option A, if we could do that.
Do we have to do something with the existing motion?
I think we can just let it die, correct? No? What do we need to do?
You need to vote on that motion or ask for a substitute motion.
Yeah, I want a substitute motion.
You
To
don't
approve specifically calendar A.
No, if that person who made the motion doesn't have an objection, the first and the second don't have an objection, you can get a substitute motion. You
I have no
just
objection.
Okay. So still substitute motion.
Do I need to change my or do I just need to recommend the calendar, or no, it's already a motion?
No, we're just gonna get rid of, yeah, we motioned it so you could discuss it, which was great, but I think just it would be cleaner if nobody has an objection for who first and seconded, I don't
I
even.
think
You
one
got
of
it.
us two.
Is there objection to substitute motion?
I have no objection.
I don't have an objection to it.
Perfect, so
Since
we'll,
we're gonna go
we'll
with-
entertain a motion to approve specifically calendar option A.
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. And second, okay. Discussion? All right. All those in favor of calendar option A, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Perfect. Moving on, sir.
Okay, let me log back in.
Thank you for bailing me out there, Ms. Wood.
All right. So the next item on the agenda for approval consideration is the recommendation to award the bid for Donaldson Elementary HVAC rooftop units project in the amount of $163,213 to M&A Supply Company Incorporated, and grant the superintendent the authority to negotiate the terms of the related contract. I will tell you that that amount covers, I believe, 15 units. HVAC, those are smaller units for the elementary building. But with that, it's my recommendation that you award the bid for Donaldson Elementary HVAC rooftop units project in the amount of $163,213 to M&A Supply Company Incorporated, and grant the superintendent the authority to negotiate the terms of the related contract.
Okay, heard the superintendent's recommendation. We'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Hutt?
Second.
Second.
Yes, I think Mr. Benjamin was first, so is there discussion on this?
Yes.
Yes,
please.
ma'am.
Are these units, what's the plan that we have that we can shop from, I've forgotten the name of it.
Yeah, consortium,
Yeah, right.
yes.
So these units are approved through there?
They are, and these are deferred maintenance type costs as well, where we're just replacing on our deferred maintenance schedule.
Okay.
we got the best price, Ms. Conley.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
love a deal.
That was her question.
I like a deal.
All right, perfect. Other discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent.
All right. The next item is the recommendation to award the bid for Arlington High School HVAC rooftop units project in the amount of $357,074.64 to Ateros and grant the superintendent the authority to negotiate the terms of the related contract. So with that, that is my recommendation. This involves the replacement of 7 units, which sounds a little backwards because of the cost, but these 7 units are able to do big-time capacity cooling. So that's why there's a difference in the cost and for the size of the building, why it factors out to be that way. So with that, it's my recommendation that you award the bid for Arlington High HVAC rooftop units project in the amount of $357,074.64 to Ateros and grant superintendent the authority to negotiate the terms of the related contract.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. We'll take a motion.
Move.
Ms. Conlon? Mr. Dunn? Any questions about this from anybody? Okay, we'll go ahead and entertain a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We've got one final motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
First and second. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate everybody being here. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Adjourned.